Wanted to tell you guys a little bit about myself and about Toast before we get started, to give you a little bit of background. So I introduce myself first and foremost. I'm Bobby's mom. For those of you who have more than one job in this room, you probably understand that as well. So I not only have a team at work, I also have a team at home that helps me do both of those things. I'm at product marketing at Toast. I lead the product marketing, market insights, and partner marketing teams. I've been there about 2.5 years. Toast, over the last 2.5 years, has gone from about 500 employees to over 2,500 employees. So it's been quite a ride there. I joined Toast to really help them scale the product marketing team. Product marketing was 2 people, one of whom had done product marketing before, one of whom had not. When I joined, our team is now 20 strong and growing. We'll talk about that at the end. And prior to that, I actually joined Enernoc as their first product marketer and grew that product marketing team until we sold the company. Also did an amazing year leading their enterprise sales team. For those of you who are product marketers who haven't had a chance to work in sales, I highly recommend it. I've done it twice in my career. It's made me a much better product marketer as well. And early in my career, I got that first job out of college in sales, but also did competitive intelligence and pricing, which turns out are really important parts of product marketing too. So that's how I got into product marketing in the first place. So Toast, anyone know what Toast does? Yeah, restaurants. So we work with restaurants. They're actually a super fun customer base to work with. We get to interact with our customers every single day, sometimes 3 times a day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, coffee breaks, maybe 4 or 5 times a day, depending on your caffeine habits. And as a result, I talk to customers, prospects, I interact with my own product and with competitor products every day. In our work, helping restaurants really thrive in this environment. What's really interesting about it is it's an industry that's changing really quickly. Most restaurants today still operate with a server in the back room of the restaurant. And they're on technology that's 10, 15 years old. And how are you all interacting with restaurants? How many of you all have ordered with a mobile app in the last week? Starbucks Mobile Order Ahead has become a daily part of our lives. And so a lot of what we do is we help restaurants adapt to that environment. So we're teaching them about how consumer preferences are really changing their technology needs, and then trying to help them take advantage of the tools that have been in use in a lot of other industries for a while. So a little bit about Toast. We're growing about 150% a year right now. We're hiring about 100 people a month. And we've been around for about 6 or 7 years, depending on how you count, whether you're counting from the first customer or for when the founders started kind of thinking about it. And we're headquartered in Boston here, and just starting to get to the point where when I say, hey, do you guys know what Toast is? People start to say yes. And that's kind of a fun place to be in as a startup pre-IPO stage here. And we're growing faster than almost any company out there. So if you think about, there's some unique challenges for a product marketing team in this kind of environment. The vast majority of our sales team's been here less than 6 months. We're growing fast. We are, fastest to 100 million among SaaS platforms that have gone public recently. We're, really kind of it puts an extra strain on the programs that you're putting in place. So this is just some context for you guys as you think about, what a win-loss program in this kind of environment might look like. So we had a lot of challenges when I first joined Toast around win-loss, and I wanted to know if anyone else had these challenges. So raise your hand if at your company, understanding why you're winning and losing is driven by anecdotes or opinions. Yeah, truth, right? Us too. Salesforce data isn't clean enough to use. Still true at Toast, okay? Win-loss fields don't make sense or aren't used. Yeah, okay? Salespeople aren't motivated to fill out win-loss notes or reasons. Okay, yeah, same. Sales notes have good info, but it's really manual to get at it. Okay, a couple people have good sales notes, good. Win-loss calls are ad hoc, not done, or only done by sales, and sales has got it covered. Anyone? Yeah, okay. Your team, or whatever team is responsible for this, isn't trained on how to do win-loss calls. Okay, so some of you guys have trained your teams, that's nice. Wins are communicated and celebrated, but not losses. Yeah, okay. So at Toast, we had every single one of these challenges when I joined. We still have a lot of them. I'm not saying, I unfortunately am not here to give you the magic solution. I wish I was like, here's the magic wand and you can just wave it and make all of this go away. But we had every single one of these challenges at Toast when I started. We still have many of them today, and yet we still have a successful win-loss program. So there is hope. When I joined Toast, what do you think our number one competitor was? You don't need to know anything about my industry to guess this. What do you think our number one competitor was when I joined Toast? It was Other, and then Square, because we talked at lunch. And then our number one loss reason was also Other. Okay, so one of the things we've done, and this is my first tip, is we actually took Other away as an option. I'll tell you how I did that. So we had a whole program to kill Other. So the closed team did a great job setting up a lot of the context for why win-loss this morning. So I'm not going to go over why win-loss. It's good for a lot of reasons, but I will agree with kind of the key things that make a great program. Number one is buy-in. So we also got this buy-in along the way. We didn't start with like this amazing top-down buy-in and the executive team said, yes, like here are all the resources to go do win-loss. You'll see how we built it along the way. We did not start with that buy-in, but we got it as we got some small wins under our belts. We also didn't ask permission. I've seen the power of win-loss before, and so I never went out and said, hi, like, can I please call your customers and your losses and ask them questions? We just started calling them. Now that doesn't work if you're only doing 20 enterprise deals a year, like don't do that. But we're in an SMB market and we do thousands of deals a year and tens of thousands of deals a year. And so it's really low impact if we mess one up. Like it doesn't matter. And so, look at the risk kind of profile of your company, but for us, we didn't ask permission, we just started doing it. And that might work for more of you than you think. Quantitative is really important. It tells you what's happening and where, what segments, what competitors, what markets. And it also tells you whether what you're doing is working, but it doesn't tell you the why. So that's why you need the qualitative side too. So really believe you need buy-in, you need that quant side, and you need qualitative, because quant alone, you'll never answer the question, why? So I'm going to give you guys the tools and tricks, like literally how did we build this? No theories, just like what did I do? Like here's the spreadsheet I pulled, here's the email I sent, so that hopefully you can take one piece of this and use it when you get back to your offices tomorrow. So 8 things. I boiled it down to 8 things. It just happened to be 8. There's no magic number. The first one is we did all the manual work. We'll talk about that. This is something you can do tomorrow. It starts with pulling a Salesforce report. We aligned on categories and metrics. So how are we going to categorize things? What are the metrics we're going to measure? How do we know if we're being successful? We got really deep in Salesforce, and we spent a lot of time with sales. No question there. We called a lot of customers ourselves. We did call in help, so we did hire a win-loss firm. We're going to do it again next year. That'll be my budget forever. So if you guys want to talk about that after, let me know. We did automated surveys, and then of course we used all of this information to generate insights and enablement, and then we shared the results every week, every month, every quarter for the last 2 years. Cool. So the manual work, here is how it started. It started in this conversation of the Salesforce data is really, really messy and the sales reps don't fill out the categories right, but we actually did have a lot of good sales notes. That was the one thing we did have, and it kind of became this game of chicken between myself and the founder. I will confess this, where I said, we got to really figure out this category first, and then we need to update Salesforce, and 3 months later I can give you the results. And he said, I dare you to sit in a room with me and read them all, and then we'll know why we're winning and losing. And I said, well, we do thousands of deals a month. And he said, yes, we do. And so on a Friday afternoon, I sat in a conference room with the founder of Toast, and we read hundreds of opportunities. And we started to see there's a lot of great stuff there. And so what we did actually for the first 6 months of our win-loss program was that me and Aman, read all of the wins and losses, every single one, thousands of them. You can do that too. And actually, it was the best education I could have ever gotten into Toast and why we were winning and losing and what was really happening in our market. And it was time incredibly well spent. It was sometimes painful, but it was time incredibly well spent. And what we started doing was we started actually recategorizing things. So we said, hey, this loss note says we lost a Square, but the field says we lost a Touch Bistro. And so we started creating our own fields, and then we actually ultimately mass uploaded all of our manually corrected opportunities into Salesforce. We did that. And so then we had like a quarter of good data to start with. And what we also did was we learned what was actually happening, what win and loss reasons potentially were real. And so that gave us the confidence to kill other. So our first job was beat other. And so we did that because we had done enough digging to understand what was really happening. So we didn't have to have this category of like, oh, I don't understand this about my market yet, because we knew what sales was saying. So that was how we started. And any of you today could probably download your most recent 100, 10, 1,000, whatever's relevant for your business, opportunities that were closed, and start reading. And so that's where we started. The second thing we did was then we said, okay, based on all of this learning, we aligned on categories and metrics. How are we going to categorize everything? So for win and loss types, that's like the highest thing in our hierarchy. You can be 5 things at Toast. You can be a win. That's actually the simplest one. We can lose you to a competitor. You chose someone else. You can lost to upgraded existing. That's a weird phrase, and I will tell you why we named it that, because we did 4 different names of that category. No decision, or ghosted. Everyone know what ghosting is? Yeah? Okay, ghosting is like a dating term, I think. And it means that, you stop calling someone back. I think people ghost like recruiters now, it happens on LinkedIn. It also happens in sales processes where like the prospect just stops picking up the phone and returning to your emails, and you actually don't know what happened. And so that's the I don't know what happened, I was ghosted category. This really resonates with our sales team. They're like average ages, younger than me. And so lost to competitor means they actively chose someone else. And the difference between lost to upgraded existing and no decision is an economic buying decision was made, money was spent. If you upgraded existing, you spent money to upgrade your existing system. If you decided to just stay with your existing system, status quo, that's no decision. That's a really important distinction for us, because one of the things my team is tracking really closely is how many decisions are happening each year in the market, because we think that's our limiter to growth in the medium term. Is okay, let's say there's, 700,000 restaurants in the United States, just for example, and about a quarter of them are buying every year. We actually then know how many decisions are being made every year, and we know how many decisions we're in. Wins plus losses plus upgraded existing, that's how many decisions we're in, and then we can compare that to the total market. And so this is the kind of stuff that we're really tracking from a win-loss perspective. And then we took the top 10 loss reasons for each, and they're different, whether you lost to a competitor, lost to existing, no decision, whatever, ghosted, and coded them in. You have to pick one, and then we have fields. We also did another thing, which is as we got maybe 6 months or a year in, the product team said, hey, we're not losing based on product features enough, and so we're not getting good enough data, and so we added another field that's even if you say, oh, I lost on price, because every sales rep says they lost on price, right? We also said, okay, were there any features that were important too? And so they also add that. And we'll talk about, why we do still use Salesforce coding for this. We also do win-loss calls. So they're both important. And then, of course, things like competitor segment. The other really powerful thing we've done is we've said we're not relying only on sales to make sure our data is clean. So we've brought in a bunch of external sources to complement our Salesforce data. So we've integrated with third parties like Yelp. We have offshore teams calling into restaurants, updating things like what kind of restaurant are you, what point of sale are you using, so that basic information is really clean. And we think we have the best database in the industry. It's become a real competitive advantage for us from a win-loss perspective. On the metrics perspective, we said we're going to track all of this per ramped rep. So per ramped salesperson, so person who's out of training. For us, that's really important because we have so many reps in training every month, every quarter. So wins, losses, no decisions, and ghosteds per ramped rep. When we give you 15 opportunities a month, how many do you turn into wins? How many turn into losses? How many are no decisions? And how many have ghosted you? Really important. And then for competitive win rate, it's what % of those decisions, wins plus loss to competitors plus loss to upgraded existing, did you win? So of all the decisions you were in, how many did you win? And then opportunity to deal conversion is of all the opportunities, including ghosted no decision, how many did you win? Because guess what a no decision is? It's someone who the salesperson didn't show enough value to, right? Maybe we could have gotten a decision out of that. Maybe we could have turned that into a buying opportunity. And so we're not ignoring those. And we've actually found through our own work that about half or more of the ghosteds I mean, they obviously bought something, right? They were in a buying process. More than half of the ghosteds bought something too, just not from us. They just stopped calling us back before they had the courtesy to tell us they were breaking up with us. Cool. So then into the fire. So we made all these beautiful categories. We had done all our homework. We had read everything. We had talked to sales reps. We got feedback. We put it all into Salesforce and we automated it. It is mandatory for everyone to fill this out. And then it is mandatory for the manager to review it. It's controversial, but we did it. And part of how we did this is we shared the why a lot. So I go around to the sales team twice a year. We go to all the different regions and we do training. And I get up there and I say things like, I read every single one of your sales notes. I do. I still read most of them. I get an email every time we win a deal, and I get an email you'll see every time someone fills out a Why Not Toast. I read them. I read them all, and I tell people that, and they're like, oh, whoa, really? Someone's reading my sales notes? And people take it seriously if you tell them you're using the data, and we show them the results. We say, here's the graph of your territory, and here's how many won, lost, and why, and what's going on, and they're like, oh, wow, this is like real? We have to. So people start doing it if you show them the results, and we show it to them at the RVP level, the district manager level, and the rep level. We share it back out. And so they're like, oh, this is real data. We have to fill it out. It helps with the quality. And then also like tweaking it and getting feedback on what's working, what's not, changing it all the time. So then we started calling wins and losses ourselves, and we created an interview guide for the team, so just kind of a basic one that they can work off of. But then each team also, every product marketer in the team focuses on a product line pretty much, and so they're usually working on some project. And so part of this win-loss program is just part of their day-to-day work. So I'm preparing for the launch of a new product. I make sure I do win-loss as part of that, and then that counts towards their quota. So everyone in product marketing has a quota for how many win and loss interviews they have to do per quarter, and how many sales ride-alongs they have to do per quarter to make sure they're out talking to the team. At my last company, it was enterprise. One of the teams I worked on with enterprise, this was harder because it's harder to get in touch with the C-suite buying decisions. In SMB, the team crushes through their goals. It's really easy. But in both environments, we set quotas and found that really helpful to keep that discipline up. And then we do a monthly kind of dashboard of what's happening in the business. And these become the why. The insights from these become the why behind that dashboard. So we're seeing this trend. We're seeing this competitor spike. We're seeing us winning or losing more in this segment. And by the way, I did 3 interviews this month about this, and here's some of the why behind it. So it's really helpful to bring that context and that credibility to the product marketer. Okay, and then we do call in pros to help. So we had a third-party consulting firm who does about 20 interviews for us a quarter. And we pick themes each quarter based on what we're seeing in the data. So we go quantitative first. We say, oh gosh, this one competitor is starting to really spike in our market. Or we're seeing no decisions go up. Or we're seeing this specific segment we're not doing as well as we think. And so we pick a focus area every quarter and we give it to the pros, and they do 20 interviews. This does a couple things for us. One is it gives us just scale. How many of you guys have free time, extra time in your day, right? Product marketers are busy. In a high growth company, we're always man down because we're always hiring, right? So we actually always have more budget than we're able to spend because we're always hiring. And so we just need that extra bandwidth. So that's number one reason we do this. The number 2 reason we do this is because we can get an unbiased view. We try and tell the product marketing team, don't ask leading questions, be unbiased, ask them about their process, everyone comes in with an angle, whether you try hard not to, but you can't help it. It's your product, you care about it. So just having someone do some totally unbiased interviews is really, really helpful to make sure we're getting the real answer as to what's happening. I've heard people say people are more willing to talk to a third party than to a product marketer. I found as long as you open with your interview with, I'm not from sales, then the guard goes down immediately and they'll talk to you. They'll tell you anything you want to hear as long as you open with that. But we actually have had better results getting people on the phone as Toast than the third party has. But I have heard that, but I feel like you just say, I'm not from sales, and they relax. So it's much easier. And then they also do a lot of the work, right? So they're doing the quarterly presentation. They're putting the themes together. They're helping you with the why. It's just that extra bandwidth that really, really helps us. And if you think about the cost of this versus hiring another product marketer, it's usually more efficient to outsource this, at least in part. So I wouldn't hesitate doing that. Okay, so then we automated surveys. Why not Toast? So we have an email called Why Not Toast. This is the HubSpot screenshot of an example. And we took those same loss reasons that we had from sales, and we put them in here, and then we put a free text field. Everyone fills out the free text field. Everyone. They'll have a strong opinion about Why Not Toast. I guarantee you they have a strong opinion about why not your company too. And I get like, I don't know, a handful of these a day. Just like come through, and it's just I read them, and then they go into a report where we can go through and we can slice and dice and say, our customer is saying why not Toast? The same loss reasons as sales is saying why not Toast, and it's a good check. And we can actually go back and match the Salesforce opportunities and say, hey, salesperson, like you said it was pricing, but they said it was this feature, right? So we can create that feedback loop. We are not great at that feedback loop yet. It's one of my goals, but we can do it. So this is something that goes out to every single lost deal. We get enough of these back that it's valuable. This is so easy to do. Like this is one of those things that I would do tomorrow if you don't already have this in place. Okay, and then we do the thing that Close said not to do earlier. We do it. We ask a 20-question survey also. And this works for us because we have a lot of volume. So we used to pay $25 per survey complete until we got like a good amount of completes back. Now we do a monthly raffle for a $100 Amazon gift card. And what we do is we ask 20 questions. That same group, they've gotten the Why Not Toast survey, whether or not they fill it out, we email them again. And we say, hey, you can enter this raffle for $100 if you'll answer our 20-question survey. And the 20 questions basically cover, like, okay, did you buy something? So the first piece of data we collect is like, those categories we talked about? We collect that same information, and we found out, okay, like, of the ones that we think we lost to a competitor, 80% of the time that's true. Of the ones we think it's no decision, like 60 or 70% of the time it's true. So we can like go back and check and see what we thought and what actually happened. We ask them who they bought. We ask them how much they paid, so we get pricing information. There's a lot of discounting in our market, so we can't just like look at our customers or competitors' websites and know what price they're paying. So we actually ask them like, how much did you pay? What did you buy? What was your configuration? And then what were your key purchase criteria? And how did you evaluate this person you bought and us against those key purchase criteria? So it's pretty thorough from a survey perspective, but we get like 100 to 150 of these back a month, and we've been running it for about a year, so we've got a couple thousand responses, and so now we've got a pretty robust data set off which to do this, and it's also a great gut check for our sales-driven data. So, don't rely on your sales team alone to tell you why you're winning and losing, but if you pair that with some additional work, you can start to get a good picture for where the gaps are. Cool, and then we generate insights and enablement off the back of that. So if you think about, all of this is really to get to a why, and then what do you do with it? And so plug here, this is Crayon. For those of you who haven't gone and checked out, I'm not paid to say that. But we do have like Product Marketing Influencer up here. We do use Crayon for our competitive battle cards. And so they're mobile optimized. The sales team actually uses them, which is pretty great because I've definitely created PowerPoint decks of battle cards in the past that just sit like in someone's trunk. So that's really great about them. But we use the data from our win and loss notes to power those battle cards. So we actually look and say, why are we winning, literally why are we winning and losing against Square? Or why are we winning and losing against NCR? And we've got all the data now from our win-loss, we've got the quotes from our interviews, and we really use that to drive the competitive battle cards. So that's a really helpful way to get this in the hands of sales in an actual way. We use it to write scripts. We use it to come up with language that they can actually say in front of a customer. We do a quarterly sales training that always has a win-loss component. So right now we're doing our sales trainings in market, and there's a whole panel around the 5 top reasons we win and lose, and reps talking to each other about why they're winning and losing based on these factors. And then we do what we call competitor takedown plays. So if we see a competitor trending in our data, we go with the targeted campaign across sales and marketing against them. It includes sales enablement, updating the battle cards, but also calling campaigns against them. So we'll go call people who we know have them in their install base and do marketing campaign like paid ads, things like that, to go after that competitor. We've seen those drive huge results from both a volume of opportunities taking out a competitor, displacing them, but also from a conversion rate perspective. And then we do monthly dashboards and quarterly readouts to inform corporate strategy, go-to-market strategy, and product roadmap. And so those happen in different forums, but we make sure we hit all three of those audiences. So we present to product leadership, we present to sales leadership and marketing leadership, and then we also partner closely with the executive team and with strategic finance, who are more of like our corp dev type people, to make sure that we're sharing what we're learning to inform product roadmap, to inform what we're focusing on sales, but also investing as a company. So these are kind of the ways we use it. So the results. So part of this is we've had great success. So I gave you that whole spiel about how Toast is growing so fast in the beginning. How many of you, like if you think about a growing sales team and growing your sales team over 100% year over year and onboarding hundreds of new reps, what usually happens to sales productivity when you onboard hundreds of new reps? It goes down, right? So as a company scales, usually the expectation is like sales productivity erodes a little bit, but it's okay because you like make it up in volume, right? Because you're hiring lots of new reps. We've actually seen sales productivity improve 30% year over year as we've been scaling this fast. And part of it is because of the win-loss and sales enablement programs that are driven off the back of it. So we've seen our win rate go up 66%, our productivity improve 30%, and our opt-to-deal conversion rate improve 60% since we've instituted win-loss and all the programs that go behind it, supporting it. So it's been pretty cool to see that while the company is scaling at the rate it is. And part of it is because we're super focused on these metrics. So we track these metrics weekly, monthly, and quarterly in metrics meetings and OKR meetings with our executive team. We summarize them on a monthly PMM dashboard. We deep dive it with sales leadership. Every single quarter, we cut all of this data by regional sales leader, by district manager, by competitor, by segment, and share that. So an RVP who's having a great quarter on a win-loss against a certain competitor can share with the one who's last on the list. So we stack rank them and we share that information so that they can all learn from each other. And it's also part of the sales leadership source of truth dashboard. So for those that are speaking, that are looking at their metrics every day, they're seeing their competitive win rate and details about how we're running win-loss in that as well. So, great, perfect. So this is what it's like to work at Toast every day. Definitely wanted to take my last minute to make one plug. I couldn't resist. We're hiring at Toast, so if you or anyone you know is looking for a job in product marketing, we're hiring for a market research manager and a pricing manager right now, and we will be opening up a handful of product marketing manager roles in Q1, so please get in touch. And I've got 2 more product marketers in the back who are around if you want to know what working at Toast is really like. But it definitely has been a fun year and a lot of success from win-loss, so happy to chat with you guys after.
Amazing. Thank you, Kelly.
Yeah, thank you.